Congresswoman Yvette Clarke. She's a congresswoman for the 9th District in New York, Brooklyn. Represent. Anyway, that's another subject. But anyway, she's
got the Brooklyn Tourette's.
Yeah, I know. got hit the represent. Anyway. She introduced legislation that would mandate the Department of Defense to rename any military installation or other property named after those who fought for or supported the Confederacy during the Civil War. Why, man? Why? What's your gripe?
Don't ask me why this popped into my head. But there was a scene from the Cosby Show. Like I don't even know what episode. I can't remember what episode. I don't remember episode numbers. But I remember Claire was had like Cliff on a diet. And
I remember that.
Introduced him to some rice cakes.
I remember that. Yeah.
Introduced him to some rice cakes, right? And Claire was like, 0 fat, 0 calories, 0 this, 0 cholesterol. And then Cliff like took a bite of it and went, 0 taste. And you know, Claire get like, that's kind of how I feel right now.
That's what's that
0
image
taste. That's I think that's what I'm thinking of. Like it's like a tasteless rice cake. The tasteless ones, not like the caramel ones, the apple ones, like the brown sugar. Tasteless rice cake. It's half-hearted, half-assed, and half-witted. Like
so, I'm deducing that. I have this feeling that maybe you're talking about we have a total Republican Congress. I mean, Republicans have control of the House and the Senate, right? And there's a Republican president. So you're saying that this Congresswoman Yvette Clarke introducing this legislation at this point right now is
0 taste.
This is something that has been talked about for years. Come on.
Like she don't know?
Confederate memorabilia and street names. All right, so this is the statement that she put out. I believe that was on Thursday. Says the time has come for the Army to remove from Fort Hamilton and other military installations the disgraced names of men who waged war against the United States to preserve the evil institution of slavery. Now, look, I agree. I wholeheartely agree with that statement, but like I said, it just looks like theater right now. And I remember us talking about this. I believe it was last year when the Democrats in the House had staged that sit-in. Staged the sit-in because they wanted something done about this about guns. You know, they wanted some kind of gun legislation. Man, we got to do something, right? And come on. You know you weren't going to get anything done now. There was a time where you had a Democratic Senate and a Democratic House, and you did nothing. So it just looks like political theater right now. So does this, even though I do agree with her statement, because what she was in those streets that she's talking about, Fort Hamilton, or she's talking about the streets that are in Brooklyn around Fort Hamilton. And it was a couple months ago. I think it was about a couple months, maybe 3 months ago. Clark had started engaging the Army about doing something about these street names. The street names are Stonewall Jackson Drive and General Lee Avenue, Confederate soldiers. So these few months ago, her, along with 3 other New York Democrats, wrote a letter to the Army. Now, what's funny is the Army's response. And funny it's not an accurate word.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes me laugh.
Yeah,
but it's
hilarious in a more disappointing way.
It's so absurd and preposterous, okay? So, this is the Army response. A section of it, anyway. So, Diane Randon, who's the acting assistant secretary of the Army, she said, After over a century, any effort to rename memorializations on Fort Hamilton would be controversial and divisive. Okay? She also said, before we get into it, she also said, this is contrary to the nation's original intent in naming these streets, which was the spirit of reconciliation. So the original intent was reconciling with the traitors that we fought against, that the United States fought against, because they left the Union to preserve slavery. They left the Union to preserve slavery, and they fought and died for it. They fought and died to oppress darker people.
What does that say, though? Because people develop, I guess, their attitude and their mindset based on symbols, repetition, and trauma. So you have all these people who appear to be centrists, who are trying to hold on to these things that represent war and genocide and in slavery and mistreatment. So if they are trying to hold on to those things, that to me indicates some sort of psychological parallel to me, that they still that there's still a part of them that kind of has some remnants of that attitude that those monuments represent.
All of these people that would say, well, look, the Civil War, that was an ugly time in our history, and of course I don't support slavery, and of course, I support the Union's efforts. Anybody that would say that, no matter which side of the political aisle they're on, how would they, after saying that, say, well, the remnants of that Civil War and the names that we still have here, and the street names and the memorabilia, the monuments, all that, we don't want to take it down. It was an ugly part of our past, but we want to continue to celebrate it? That makes no sense. That makes absolutely no sense unless it's, like you said, something's in their mind that they don't want to get rid of.
For all the people who say, black people need to let go of the past.
Stop putting the past in our faces. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, the past is all over the place. If you want to put the past where it should be, then put it in the past. Put it in a museum.
It ain't no deep state making people believe in that past. A past which does create a aperture, a societal aperture between people. They're believing in this themselves. The deep state is not making them believe in this and causing them to hate and create these rifts between each other. They're doing that all by themselves.
You're putting it in everybody's faces when the narrative is always that we need to move forward. How the hell do you expect to move forward as a nation when you live in the past? When you're supporting living in the past? That runs contrary to the objective.
Because the idea or the notion to move forward is 0 calorie, 0 fat, 0 cholesterol, 0 taste.
Yeah. This bill is not doing anything because it's the same people in Congress that say exactly what I was saying. Yeah, slavery was bad. It was a dark time in our past. We have to move forward as a country. We have to unite. We got to get rid of this racial divide. But, these Confederate monuments
gotta stay.
Oh, yeah,
gotta stay.
It's too controversial.
Too controversial.
Yeah, let's not even talk about it. Okay. All right.